in many cities all over the world. It's an ongoing process. So long as the war is going, so long as citizens will be trying, the people responsible for this war, exposing their crimes against humanity.
Could you please tell us something about your personal and family background?
I'm Iraqi American. My father is an Arab from Iraq, from the ancient city of Ur, where the Prophet Abraham was born. He came here to the United States on a scholarship in the late 40s and married my mother. My mother's from Chicago, Illinois. She's of English-Irish descent. Myself and my brother were born in the United States. I went back to Iraq when I was 3 years old, where I grew up in Baghdad and went to school, college, military service. After paying all my dues towards society, I had nothing in return, thanks to the regime over there oppressing the people and turning the country into a police state. So I left and came here in '75 when I was about 24 years old. And I've lived in the States ever since. I now live in Houston, Texas. I've been back to Iraq 5 times since I left. I stay in touch with my relatives, cousins, uncles, and friends. So in a way, I never left. I have to say that it really pains me how this country is turning pretty much into a police state, and a fascist and racist one at that. And people like me have nowhere to go anymore.
Generally speaking, was there any difference in the perceptions of the Iraqi population prior to as compared to after the U.S. started beating the war drums? In other words, did the popularity of Saddam Hussein go down or up after the U.S. made it clear that they were going to invade?
Well, as far as the popularity of Saddam, basically the Iraqi people have no love lost for him. Nobody liked Saddam. It didn't matter their religion or nationals. I mean, if they're Arab, Kurd, Muslim, Christian, Sunni, Shia, everyone was just tired of Saddam. And
back in the summer of 2003, the UN embassy in Iraq was bombed and the ambassador was killed in that attack. You have information coming from the people who lived in that area that's different from what we've heard. Can you please describe what they're talking about?
Yes, this is a very significant event and an important matter that I would wish to offer as more evidence of war crimes of this administration against Iraq and the international community. What I found out on my last visit to Iraq of June and July 2004, my cousin told me as we were going to his house, he pointed out the building of the United Nations to me. He said, do you know Sergio de Mello? I said, yes, I know of him. He was the United Nations envoy sent by Kofi Annan to Iraq shortly after the investigation to the invasion, to make an evaluation of the situation there in Iraq. Sergio de Mello is into nation building, and he had visited all places of Iraq and talked to all kinds of leaders, religious leaders, political leaders, tribal leaders. He talked to the man on the street, the oil workers, the unemployed, everybody. And he came back and reported to the United Nations Security Council. So among his report, among the items on his report was that the occupation forces must announce a withdrawal schedule to obtain security in Iraq. That did not sit well with this administration, because they have no intention of withdrawing. So when he returned to Iraq, my cousin was explaining to me what happened. He said that he was on his way back to his father's house, which is the general area of where the United Nations building is. It's basically a main highway that tees off where you go to the United Nations building, and you can't go anywhere else. I mean, there are no residential or commercial places near the United Nations building. So the whole area was secured by American forces a day before. They came in the evening time and cut off the main highway, and he explained that it was very difficult for him to get to his father's house because he had to reroute, and so many other people also had to reroute. They could not use the highway. So they sealed off a radius of approximately 5 miles at the time, and no one could get in unless with their say-so. Not even a cat or a dog or a donkey or anything, let alone a human being. And that was possible at the time because it was in the early days of the occupation. Right now, I'm not sure it will be possible. Now, there's just too much resistance everywhere, in Baghdad and all over Iraq. So the next morning, when Sergio de Mello had a meeting, a truck full of explosives was placed under his office and detonated, killing him and a number of other people. Also, there are some engineer reports that show evidence of a couple of missiles fired at Sergio de Mello's office. So to Iraqis, especially those living in Baghdad, it's common knowledge that the Americans have killed Sergio de Mello in cold blood, and that the Americans will stop at nothing to further their goals. And it's very ironic that nobody even knows about it in America, or any kind of investigation has been done by the United Nations. Finally, the United Nations later announced that the occupation, or came up with a resolution that said or stated that the occupation forces can remain in Iraq until security.
Perhaps that segues into this next question. How fast should the U.S. pull out?
Of course, the sooner the better. I mean, the more they stay there, the worse it gets. If this administration or their think tanks come to the realization that they can't win and they want to save face, they can decide today that they're going to leave. What they can do, if they have true intentions, is simply say we are getting ready to withdraw, and let the Iraqi people take advantage of the holy month of Ramadan coming up first week of October to meet in the holy places and negotiate their matters and figure out a way to handle things peacefully, because in holy places